What's going down, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Holmes Hobbies Motor Control. It's your boy Josh, aka Coleman, chilling at the workbench, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to get back to the basics a little bit. I mentioned probably, I don't know how many episodes ago, a while back now, that we were going to try to do that this year, and I think it's time we start doing a little bit. So first thing I want to do is basically go back to the new school, go back to like being a noob, basically. Maybe that makes more sense. You just got your brand new SCX10 or whatever it is, and you want to know, what do you do? What do you get for a motor? You know, you got a little bit of money, you can get a motor, can't get an ESC. What do you do? Well, you're going to get a brush motor, obviously, if that's the case. So let's look at brush motor selection. As you can see here, we've got two Axial SCX10-2s. These are two popular selections. This bad boy on the right, the Trail Honcho, is super popular right now. This bad boy on the left, the Cherokee, or the XJ, this is also super popular right now. However, I think this one's a little bit more popular. That's because it's just got lineage. It's the original Trail Honcho was a big deal. It was, you know, I had one myself. But however, this Cherokee is also a big deal because the guys over at JCR fought pretty hard to get this made, so I was behind them on that as well. I was calling up Axial and trying to pitch them on the Grand Cherokee instead, but I told them I was definitely down for this as well. So it's a good one, and it's kind of a legendary couple of vehicles here. So I figured this would be a good place to start. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bodies off of these, and we're going to get them up on jack stands, and we're going to get a look at the wheel speed as it sits. Now, we're doing all this on the workbench. It's actually nighttime right now, and the weather has been nasty. It's actually snowing in April, which really sucks, but we got a workbench. It's fairly decent size, so we're going to do it on here. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so there we have it, you guys. We've got both SCX10-2 set up side by side. This one's got a battery in it. Obviously, like I said, I've driven this one before. However, this one does not. Still has a tag on it even, so we'll go ahead and get a battery in this. And I've got the radio for each one sitting on the side here. So let's go ahead and get them fired up. Do this one first. And what we're doing here is just getting a baseline idea of wheel speed and power and all that stuff. Obviously this isn't like technical, it's just by the seat of your pants sort of thing. But I want to do that before we do anything with them, you know, before I start changing anything out. So eventually these are both going to get changed out. I'm trying to do this one-handed here. Eventually these will both get changed out. But for now, I think it's a great time. Come on, I can do it. I'm not left-handed, but I'm trying to be left-handed. There we go. Boom. For now, while they're still blowing stock, I think it's a perfect time to do some testing. So this one's acting a little funny, though. First time I've ever seen that. Defective out of the box? I think maybe. There we go. Oh, I think it's from... Oh, that's weird. I turned the steering, the throw down, and then back up, and it went away. Interesting. Just had to knock the cobwebs off it, I guess. I don't know. Let's test this one. Okay, servos work. Now let's do throttle. Alright, now this one, let's do throttle. actually sound a little different. So this one is a little bit slower in reverse, whereas this one is interesting. This one's obviously slower in reverse, like notably slower. And I'm curious, this is the exact same ESCs and everything. And this one's even got lights, which would be sucking a little bit of power. So I'm very curious as to why this one's slightly slower in reverse. Very interesting. Power. Huh. Oh. That should give you guys at least a baseline idea of the speed. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave the honcho alone, and we're going to actually swap the motor out on this bad boy here. This is going to wind up being one of my Land Rover builds, so it's a good place to start. I figure, why not? Alright, so one of the things I'm going to do right away is remove this. Get that out of there. And then I guess we can go ahead and unplug this one. Actually, we'll go ahead and unplug them both and just shut them down. Take this off the jack stands for now. Set the jack stands aside. And let's go ahead and start pulling the spur gear cover off of this bad boy. Which actually kind of caught me by surprise. I almost forgot that they had the old style transmission in the XJ still. The Trail Honcho's got the new gray transmission, the one that's all molded in. I actually like this one better. I prefer this one. It's just easier for me to work with as far as the anti-spur conversion and stuff goes. And boom, there's only 3 screws in there. Should be pretty easy to get off if you're new to this. Pop it off just like that, set that aside. We'll actually put those screws with it. Where did that third one go? There it is. Put the 3 screws inside of there, set that aside. And then we can go ahead and remove the motor screws first. There's one. Here is 2. Ooh, got it. Set those aside. And then we can get that pinion gear off there as well. Oh, that's the other one. Just break that loose like that. You don't have to take it all the way out, but that'll slide right off there. Now we can pull our motor out. And I think we can pull our motor out. There we go. Oh, now we got our motor out. Pretty simple. We've got a zip tie here. I guess we could take that off too. Boom. Motor is removed. Now what we're gonna do is get our replacement for this. Boom. There she is. Trailmaster Sport 540. This is a 35 turn motor, you guys. The reason I selected this one today is because we want to do a direct comparison between 35 turn motors. That's why I want to do that. I feel that it's a good starting point. It's a good way to get some of you guys introduced to Holmes Hobbies motors on a budget. This is a very affordable way to get into the Holmes Hobbies product line. These come in, less than $20. I believe they're actually only $15, and that's an affordable throwaway motor. Basically, at that price, you can throw this away when it dies. This is a non-rebuildable 540 size can. It's 35 turn, and it packs a punch, man. It really does pack a punch. So let's go ahead and get this out of the bag. We will get some leads soldered onto it, and then I think also what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to install a top hat here. So we have a motor top hat for non-rebuildables. I think we're going to go ahead and install this as well. It's been a while since we've done this here on the channel. This little combination right here is a great way to start upgrading your Axial SCX10 or any trail truck for that matter. So let's go ahead and get started. And now this motor actually comes with the black can, which I really like. My previous one was a silver can, and that's fine too, but there's something about, actually I have one. Let me grab it here. I'll show you guys. Here's the silver can. So I'm not sure. I think they are offering them only in black now because this is a pretty old can. So I like the black better. Honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest here. The black looks awesome. The reason for that is because it just blends into the undercarriage a lot better when you have your motor in a position where it can be visible, you know. So I like the black, definitely the way to go. So now we got the motor out of there. I'm going to go ahead and set that down. Let's go ahead and pull our top hat out too. And if you guys are unfamiliar with the top hat, what this is, it's a simple mod that will extend the life of your motor. So basically, it is a plastic housing that goes on the end here, and it covers up all of these openings. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking immediately, oh, that's going to make the motor overheat. Well, I can tell you actually firsthand that it doesn't. I have ran these quite a bit, and in trail trucks, unless your gearing is off, you should not have an issue with this. Even running factory gearing in an SCX10, you'll be just fine. Now, you don't just put this on here. What you're going to want to do is put a couple dabs of dielectrical grease on here. You don't have to, but I prefer to put a couple dabs of dielectrical grease on here. And what that does is it just helps create a nice barrier here to keep the elements out of this area as well. And now, while I originally had elected to go for just reusing these Axial wires, I've actually decided to take a different route. What I've done is I've got two other leads here off of another motor, and I'm gonna actually use these instead. The reason being is they're just a thicker wire. They're a smaller gauge than what these other ones are, which basically all that means is it's going to allow the power to flow more freely. So you got to think of wires kind of like pipes, and if these were little tubes or little pipes and you're going to push liquid through them like water, obviously you're going to be able to push a lot more liquid through these than you will through these. So electricity works the same way, and we're going to go ahead and use these. That way, you know, we just get a little less resistance, hopefully. So let's go ahead and get these soldered on now. There we have it. All soldered up, ready to go. Now we can basically start installing this back into the chassis, get the pinion on, and we should be able to test it out at that point. So let's do it. All right, so in this situation, I actually don't have any dielectrical grease, and I'm not gonna stop the video to run out and get any right now. So I have another solution, and this may not be the ideal solution, but it will work. So what I have is this right here. This is brush-on electrical tape, okay? And I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it's really similar to Plasti-Dip. And basically, this is great for isolating a electrical connection. So what we're gonna do is we're going to use just a couple dabs of this on the holes when we seal this up, and hopefully that will make a nice clean seal there and we won't have any issues. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. All right, so that should be enough there. You can see. So on the bottom, normally I just do the same thing, but with dielectrical grease. And I totally just messed up because I don't think these are gonna go through there now. No! Why me? Okay, so that didn't go as planned, but we got it. So one side's on, we're gonna go ahead and stick the other side on now. I had to remove these little rubber, I don't know, sheath things. I don't actually know the name of them, but had to remove those. And I wasn't making a mess, but that's all right. Definitely does not work as good as dielectrical grease as far as application goes. But let's see now if we can get this through here. It's a little bit of a battle. Let's back this out and let's just make this hole a little bit bigger. I was supposed to put this on before I put the wires on, so that's my bad, but there we go. Either way, this will work. Go ahead and slide that into place. And there we go. All right. So I think that's gonna work. Not 100% sure, but I think that'll work. It's not too bad. I'm sure the application could have been better on my end. But there we go. Now we have 35 turn 540 Trailmaster Sport with a top hat ready to go. Let's get this installed. It's literally just gonna drop back in exactly how it was before, which if I remember right was a fairly tight fit. So now it's got a top hat on, it's probably going to be even tighter fit. Let's see if we can do it without having to remove anything here. Undo this screw right here. I should be able to move this over a little bit. Haha! I got it. Dang, that was a battle. Alright. But we got it in there. All right, you guys, so now you can see both of them are installed and powered on. I've got the radio sitting over here to the side. We have the Holmes Hobbies 35 turn Trailmaster Sport here with a top hat. And as you can see, you look close there, there is still plenty of venting going on there in the can. It doesn't completely cover your vents. A lot of people think it does. And then I did notice something. There's a difference in ESCs. The motors are the same turn. This is a factory Axial 35 turn motor. That's this bad boy right here. And this is just in case you guys missed the first part of this video. And I did notice there's a slight difference in these ESCs, and I wasn't 100% sure on that, and I'm still not. I need to look it up, but I'm pretty sure this is an AE5 ESC and this is an AE5L ESC. And I was under the impression that that just meant there was only lights added to this, but I've also noticed that this doesn't reverse as fast as this reverses, which means that these two ESCs are either set up differently or you know, just have different capabilities. So that could also mean that maybe this has more amperage output, you know, to make up for the lights. I'm not really sure. I'm something I need to look into because I was not aware of that until I started shooting this video. So take everything I'm saying on today's episode with a grain of salt when it comes to comparing these two, because the ESC could be you know, it could be messing things up a little bit. But either way, we're not looking for an increase in speed anyways. What we're looking for is more reliability. And that's the point of going to the same turn motor but switching to this brand as opposed to just throwing another Axial motor in there or another cheap motor or something of that nature. This is a cheap motor as well, but it's cheap with performance in mind. So that being said, we should notice a little bit more torque, a little bit better startup out of this, but should be relatively similar and you know, should probably be about the same speed. Let's go ahead and test this out. So keep in mind another variable here is the fact that I'm right-handed and we're squeezing right for this one, left with this one, but here we go. So first things first, everyone wants to know about speed. So forward speed. Another thing you'll notice is slightly different sound. This motor is a little bit quieter, and I'm not really sure why. This one has a higher pitch to it. Now we'll go here. As you can see, wheel speed. Virtually the same on wheel speed. However, in reverse, this is where I think the ESCs are affecting the situation. In reverse, this has full 100% power in reverse. This only has like 50 to 75%. So there's definitely a limiting factor there. Boom. So that being said, let's go into the more important aspect, and this is what I'm more concerned with, and that is torque startup and basically torque under load. So we won't be able to test that in here. We'll have to do that outside, but for now, there's startup here. One thing I've noticed is it's a little jittery, kind of like sometimes it pops in hard and sometimes it comes in smooth, but it's never consistent. And then with this one, it's almost always consistent. On slightly different radios, so you know there is a little bit of variable there, but I can get some really smooth low end startup with that every time pretty much. So as long as I can keep my finger from twitching. I don't know if that's really going to help anybody out here, but the point is, slightly different feel to them, slightly different performance levels. However, they are the same turn motor. So what we're going to do is we're going to button these up, throw the bodies on them, and we're going to take them out and hit the trails here in Central Oregon and hit some obstacles and just see how they do side by side or one after another, and yeah, really compare these two motors. And that basically is my recommendation for a comparable factory upgrade for the SCX-10-2. So if you want that same wheel speed, you like what you get from the factory, but your motor died, you don't want to buy another Axial, you want to slightly improve the reliability, but you don't want to change up the way it performs too much, you know, you just want to keep that same wheel speed, keep the same gearing, all that stuff, then I highly recommend going for the 35 turn version of this motor. Say you don't like the performance of a 35 turn and you want a little more wheel speed, you know, or you want to soup things up a little bit, you can always switch it up and go with a 27 turn. All right, we do have 27 turn options, and if that's still not enough for you, you can go all the way up to the 21 turn 550 can, which, like I said, that is what really got me into the Trailmaster Sport in the beginning. And it's just a bigger can. You're gonna have a lot more wheel speed probably out of this, a lot more torque, and that's something we can do in the future. Is we can start doing comparisons between all the Trailmasters in bone stock rigs. That way you guys can see how, you know, which one's for you. Do you want the 550 21 turn? Do you want the 35 turn 540? I mean, which one do you go with? Do you go in the middle of the 27? So that's the goal of this now, is we're going to try to clear up some of that stuff, help you guys when you go to purchase make the right decision. So jump in the comments, you guys, let me know what it is you would like to see on here, which motors you'd like to see compared. I have a whole bunch of them. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch of options in stock right now. I don't have everything, you know, but I do have a bunch of options here in stock, so we can really mix it up. And I do have some stock SCX-10, so we can try out different combinations. I also have the BRXL ESC, which is a legendary ESC. You run 6S on it, it's just mental. I also have the BLE Pro, but you guys have seen plenty of that lately, so just let me know what it is you would like to see more of. I would like to get this, basically I want to work on brush motors for a while, and then we can go back to this. We've got a whole stack of brushless motors we can go through here. We still have the Mamba Monster. We also have some revolver motors up here. So there's a lot we can go through. There's a lot we can go over and learn and do comparisons with. And it's up to you guys. Jump in the comments. Let me know what it is that you really want to learn more about here from the Holmes Hobbies product line. Me personally, I want to start off basic. So we're going to do simple comparison with these on the next episode out on the trail. And then after that, maybe we'll switch it up. Maybe we'll throw another brush motor in here, do a 27 turn in here, and then compare these two that way. I mean, you guys tell me what you would like to see. So that being said, you already know what it is. I'm gonna get up out of here, you guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me at the workbench today. Piece of chicken grease, fam. Yeah.